Welcome to the Winning Edge Investments Podcast. Winning Edge Investments provides industry-leading horse racing and sports betting tips, ratings and education, enabling you to invest intelligently and treat your betting like a business. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com to learn more about how you can start to supercharge your betting bank immediately. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.
Always great to catch up with our next guest, thanks to Winning Edge Investments, tips and ratings for racing and sports. Dean Evans joins us. G'day, Dino.
Good morning, Gareth. How you going?
Good, thank you, mate. It could be a tough game. I think you mentioned on a few occasions you got $15 all in for Autumn Glow. She was $1.50 when we woke up this morning, and sadly, she's been taken out by Chris Waller with a knee chip, and she'll have to have surgery. She'll be okay, but it could be a tough game.
It's an unbelievable game. I mean, yeah, I feel sick for myself and everyone I advised to take the $15. We look like we were just rocking up to collect tomorrow, and just a minor bone chip. Like it's unbelievable, and you feel sick for the owners as well. But I mean, they still have an absolute superstar filly. Like she really could be anything Autumn Glow. It's just a real shame that we don't get to see her go around. And it can be a tough game.
So in that flight stakes now, you got Snow and Maid $2.50, Lady Shenandoah at $2.80, Lazura at $4, and there'll be a few other sick connections because they've avoided Autumn Glow and went elsewhere, and this is a very winnable flight stakes now.
It is, and well done to those who've thrown their hat in the ring and nominated, and now you've only got a 6-horse field, and let's be honest, it's not really a Group 1 class field, so there's 3 connections. You're going to get Group 1 black type in this race, and have valuable fillies on their hands. There's absolutely no speed here. You've got sort of Lady Shenandoah, Lazura, and Miss Bustlinger will probably push forward. Snow and May and Wings and Desire. It's Scratch. Snow and May and Harlem Queen. Powers Opal will be out the back. Powers of Opal in Oaks. Big Oaks chance, I think, and it'll be hitting the line very hard. This race usually has a pretty straightforward sort of historical profile. Every runner usually comes out of the T rows, and it's usually sort of the horses in the market coming off a decent run, and usually they're on speed. 8 of the 11 winners have been on the top 3 on the turn. The horses coming out of the T rows, Snow and May, who won her first 2 starts and was a really good, strong second behind Autumn Glow last start. I thought there was a bit of a bias of horses who were sort of on the fence and running on that day, so she had a bit of an advantage there. But she has to be a strong chance. And Lazura won her first 2 starts and led the T rows and was just run down into third. But Waller has a great record in this race, and it's going to get a pretty soft on-pace run, I think. So Lady Shenandoah is probably the other one who beat Mayfair, who placed in the Golden Rose. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a pretty open race now. Sort of throwing me out. I was just planning to cheer home Autumn Glow, but I think Lazura and Lady Shenandoah are probably the 2 to beat, and I think Powers of Opal is the one who's really going to be steaming home late and probably put in a very, very nice Oaks trial.
Let's have a look at the Metrop. You've got Unusual Legacy that's going to start at $6, Land Legend at $7.50. Future History, Kieran Moe made this his best chance all weekend when I had a chat to him yesterday for Giddy Up Stable Mail at 9. So Dozy at 10, Etna Rosser at 10, First Light at 10, Serpentine at $12 with Bet365, our Q Tempesta at 16, Immediacy at 17, and then we go to Athabaskan at 20-1. How do you read this race?
Yeah, look, it's not a strong Metropolitan, let's be honest. It's an interesting race. Waller's won it 5 times over the last 13 years. He's won second another 4 times. Gage won it a couple of times. It's a race that generally suits sort of horses in the first half of the field. Nothing's sort of worse than 8th on the turn and 1 in sort of the last 10 years. There's not a lot of speed here again. I think Serpentine should lead comfortably. The horse you mentioned, Future History, maps to just get the absolute perfect run in the trail. I mean, you sort of got a whole lot of these horses, Colour Poor and Leave Land, Q Tempesta, Immediacy, they're drawn out wide, going to try and come across. And then probably the likes of Zardozi, Tusalem, Land Legend, Unusual Legacy, Military Mission all sort of settling midfield. It's another interesting race, speaking frankly, in the sense that, there's a lot of horses really down in the weights, and there's a lot of jockeys who, if we're frank, are not Group 1 jockeys. So it really sort of throws us as an open race. I'm looking for the value here. I think, one of the horses that I did speak to you about in futures betting with Land Legend, and did advise to back him, good as to win the Metcop as well as the Caulfield Cup and the Melbourne Cup. Whether this is the final lead up before he really goes hard into those cups will be interesting. But I do think Land Legend, especially with just a little bit of rain around and given the track that he needs and getting up to 2,400, if he puts in a performance like when he won the St. Leger, then he'll absolutely destroy this field. So he looks a strong chance. Beyond that, there's just not a lot of class, and I sort of thought the likes of really big odds horses like Colour Poor and Military Mission and Athabaskan, who all were sort of right up there. Colour Poor winning the Tancred, Military Mission's won a Herbert Power on the Zipping Classic. Athabaskan's run second in the Hoffman, fourth in the Tancred. They're just a really hard, strong stays, and I think the market's got them, bigger than they were, because it was a very strange race last out over the 2,000 where, they sort of walked early, even though it looked like they were quick. They ran home really hard. It just didn't suit those true stayers. But this is going to be a very sort of different race over 2,400. I just think those really strong 2,400 metre horses with top riders can come into it. So I think it's a race where I'm got Land Legend on top, but there's a bit of value with the others. Let's
have a look at the Epsom, the famous Epsom, the handicap over the mile. Royal Patronage at Nudge, I should say, at $6.50. Chiao Wolf at $6.50. Kovalika at $7. Tom Kitten at $10. Major Bill at $12 with Bet365. My Oberon at $17. Democracy Manifest at $17. Cryers Saw at $17. Detonator Jack at $19. Nuggets at $19. And then we go out to big prices for Kintyre at $23. Arctic Glamour at $29. Firestorm at $29. Last year's winner Redina at 30-1. Berkshire Shadow at 30-1. Mikhail at 34. Molly Bloom's had some backing into $41. Galeron at 50-1. Then Floating at $61. Osbred Flirt at 70-1. And Lock Eagles at 100-1. Who wins the Epsom?
I think Royal Patronage wins the Epsom. I'm quite keen on him. I thought, he was very impressive first up. He trialled really nicely, the import, with his first up when he won the Tramway, very impressively. And then last night, he was sort of slow away, raced back and wide, and in the 7 stakes on a day that was sort of suiting the horses on the fence. And he finished home really strongly for third, obviously not too far, 1.3 lengths away from Fangirl. Tim Clark's got to get him in from a very, very wide 17 gate. But I think he maps all right and be up there on the speed and be very hard to beat. The Epsom's really a form horses race. In the last 14 years, the last start performance, every horse I was either a winner or ran second, third or fourth on its last start, and most of them generally come out of the Bill Ritchie or what used to be the George Main, what's now the 7 stakes. So a fairly key, constant sort of strong performance in that key lead up. I'm very keen on Royal Patronage. I think it'll be very hard to beat. I thought the main dangers were My Oberon and Tom Kitten. They're both drawn the car park, and I've heard word that potentially one or both could be scratched. And I thought the other one that might be a rough hope was Mikhail. The last 2 winners of this race won the Bill Ritchie first up, and it's got the exact same profile. But I'm very keen on Royal Patronage here.
Beautiful. Do you have an opinion in the Jim Cracken Breeders, the 2-year-old races there in Sydney tomorrow?
I do, yeah. The Breeders is usually won, certainly in the last 3 years, has been won by essentially the horses that have had the strongest closing sectionals in the trials. Those 2 horses are Ripley and Raging Force. Ripley sort of was wide in Kensington trial, really hit the line well, and Raging Force was sort of on the fence and won that trial. Ran sort of 3.9 lengths above par for the last 400, was very quick. In spite of that, I think the horse that deserves to be on top is Tuscany, who won the first trial on the day. ran plus 2.3 for the last 600, which was the third quickest of the day. Has Jamie Mack aboard and ran a clear quicker time overall than those two. So I've got Tuscany on top, but I think Ripley and Raging Force are the key dangers. In the Gimcrack, the filly who was most impressive was Icarian Dream, was 3 wide, no cover, finished very strongly to win her trial. Plus 1.5 last 600 was the ninth quickest, so she was very good. The other horses I thought were impressive at the trials on that day were Memo, Tupa Ricara and Belmerchi. I think the winner will come out of one of those 4 horses, but I'm most keen on Icarian Dream.
So Belmerchi, Memo, who was the other one?
Tupa Ricara.
Okay, yeah. That's a 15 at $12 there. And then we go and have a look at the Turnbull Stakes, which is the feature there at Flemington. Set weights and penalties. You've got Elias at $4, Buckaroo at $4.40, Via Sistina at $4.80. Then Young Verder at $11, Warmonger at $13, Atishu at $13, Plaster Carousel at $15, Wet Ore at $26, and Sharp and Smart at $26. Who wins the Turnbull?
Yeah, I think, the weather's obviously going to have a big say in this, particularly around how much rain comes on the day. The horse that I had on top here was Atishu. She's got an exceptional record over 2,000 metres. He raced 3 times over this track and distance through a dominant Group 2 win, the Matriarch, then Group 1 win, McKinnon, and then a Group 1 placing, which is a close third behind, Cascadian and Pride of Jenny when they were flying. So I think she's right in the mix. I think it was a bit of a funny race, the Kyva Diva, and I can forgive her for that. And I've got her on top. Warmonger's a very talented star, bolted in to win the Queensland Derby. Hit the line really strong, and then Kyva Diva first up. So I think he's a really strong chance here. Via Sistina is really going to appreciate not having Pride of Jenny in the race. Yep. I think, whether it was a wet track last start is one element, but I just think she just gets her heart broken and she just doesn't actually run the times to be able to compete when Pride of Jenny runs the early sectionals, but in slow run races, like the Rand that she won first up when she first came to Australia, and the Wink Stakes, which is able to sprint off a slow tempo, which is really hard to beat. So she's in the race too, but I think the value for me is Atishu and Warmonger.
Great work, Dino. Can't wait. Bring on this weekend, and really looking forward to it once again.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic weekend, and as always for your listeners, if they chuck in the SEN promo code, they can get a 50% discount on their first membership.
Yep, best value for money that you can get all weekend. Good on you, mate.
Cheers, Gareth. Chat to you later.
Dino, thanks for that. There's Dean Evans. Thanks to winningedgeinvestments.com. Tips, ratings and betting education for racing and sports.
At Winning Edge Investments, our team of highly skilled expert analysts and full-time professional punters review the data, crunch the figures, assess the best betting opportunities, and deliver them to your phone via our app and your email inbox in real time so you profit. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com. Look at our membership options, make your choice, and enter the promo code PODCAST to receive a special 25% discount on your first membership just for listening. That's PODCAST in capital letters for a 25% ongoing discount on your first membership. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.